I am Ron Schneider, Director of Parks for the Springfield-Greene County Park Board. It's, again, a pleasure to be here today. I've been in this position now for, actually, I celebrated a year just 2 weeks ago. So I've bottled up all the knowledge I've accumulated over the last 12 months and plan to deliver it to you today in about 20 to 25 minutes. So bear with me. Just a brief overview of what I'm going to present today. I'm going to give you an introduction to me, get to know Ron just a little bit. I know there's a lot of new faces for me in this audience, so tell you a little bit about my background. I'm going to touch on the mission of the Springfield-Greene County Park Board, talk a bit about our governance and leadership structure, touch briefly on our park finances, provide an overview of our services. Most of the presentation is going to be about current projects and initiatives. And at the end, be happy to try and answer any questions that you may have for me. So let's start with Ron. Before coming here, I was a lifelong Illinois resident, still and will continue to be a Cubs fan, a Bears fan, a Blackhawks fan. So feel free to get all your boos and hisses out of the way early here this morning. I was born and raised in the Chicago metro area, but the last 20 years before moving here, I was just outside the Chicago metro area in a city named Freeport, and Freeport Pretzels. Our high school mascot was the pretzel, so a lot of people usually recognize that if they know Freeport. So despite being really a much smaller city than Springfield, Freeport was known for its outstanding parks. And during my time there, we had several great development projects, including the construction of a new baseball complex. We built a one-of-a-kind miniature golf course. We refurbished a historic carousel, overhauled several neighborhood parks, remodeled our golf course clubhouse. So I'm really proud of some of those projects and hope to bring some of the same energy and vision to our park system here. Personally, I'm digging life in the 417, life in the Ozarks. It's part of what brought me down here, other than job, and I do have some family in the area. But my job's enough to keep me busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But like our park constituents, I highly value my free time, my recreation time. So I make sure I set aside time for my mental and physical health, as well as I hope all of you do as well. I'm an avid cyclist and runner, enjoy trails. I've really enjoyed so far the area trails and the rural roads. Spend a lot of time there. It gives me time to reflect on some things. And my family here is thriving in their new environment and really enjoy all the shopping and dining opportunities. I'm happy to report that I uprooted my daughter going into her senior year, and so kind of made Father of the Year. And she'd go as far away as possible to college. Like if there was a university in Nepal, I thought she might go there. But I'm happy to report she's going to MSU next year. So happy that she's going to be local. So I'm very proud and happy parent for that. So, all right, enough about Ron. Let's talk about some park business. So this is our mission statement. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but I would like to mention what I believe is the key element of our mission, and it's improving the quality of life for the constituents and the residents we serve. So we believe that offering the very best parks and recreation programs will make Springfield and Greene County a great place to live, play, and visit. This is evident in our mission and in every aspect of the services we provide. All right, a little bit about our history. One of the things that drew me to the park system here is the history. It's evident in a lot of our historic parks with the mature trees, overall character of our parks like Fast Night Park, Phelps Grove. Those are really gems and really stand out in a community. So the Park Board was established in 1913, so delivering outstanding parks and recreation services for over 100 years. It's been a city-county system for over 30 years. And then I'd also like to note that we are CAPRA accredited, meaning it's a national accreditation program for parks and recreation agencies, so we're bound to the standards of excellence outlined in that program. And lucky me, this year we're going through a reaccreditation process. So a lot of paperwork that we're tasked with taking care of this year. So um, let's talk a little bit about the park board. Parks are controlled by a volunteer administrative board per the City of Springfield's charter and an intergovernmental agreement with Greene County. The park board consists of 9 appointed volunteer servants. 5 of those members are appointed by the City of Springfield City Council. 4 members are appointed by the Greene County Commission. So we have a great board. They are truly dedicated to what we do at parks. And I'd like to just note that most recently, shortly after I started, it was evident that the board really wanted to go through a strategic planning retreat. I thought it was needed from the Parks Director standpoint, so we did that back in November. And we came out of that as a very unified board with some high-level goals to focus on over the next 12 to 24 months, which gave me some direction and the staff some direction. And those 4 strategic objectives were to use our park funds strategically and responsibly, to take a data-informed method for program evaluation and decision-making, to foster a faster-moving organizational culture, and to improve the perception of safety and security across our parks and facilities. So that's been our focus here over the last several months and will be in the near future. These are on the slide here, some of our leadership team members. My role as the Director of Parks is to advise the Park Board and to oversee the department that is comprised of approximately 250 full-time employees and over 500 variable hour or seasonal and part-time employees. So pretty big department. In terms of numbers, for a city department, I believe it is the largest in terms of overall employees at over 750 employees. I'd just like to mention that we do have an extremely talented and hardworking group that is driven by our mission. All right, I'm going to touch a bit on our park finances. I'll be very open and transparent that finances have been a major challenge for the park board for several years, most notably with capital funding. The slide that's on the screen right now represents, we are unique with parks that we have many different revenue sources. And this graph depicts that. So as shown on the slide, about 37% of our revenue comes from a countywide sales tax. That was 2 separate tax measures. I'll give you a brief history of that in the next slide. 20% of our revenue comes from a city property mill tax. About 26% of our revenue comes from fees and charges. That's mostly from our recreation facilities and programs, our family centers, pools, etc. 11% of our revenue comes from our 4 golf courses. This revenue is set aside into an enterprise fund to pay directly for golf-related expenses. So the golf courses are pretty much run like a business. And then the remaining 6% comes from miscellaneous revenue sources such as grants, donations, interest income, and sponsorships. So overall, we have about a $40 million budget. Typically, from an operational standpoint, we have pretty much a break-even budget on an annual basis with revenues yearly meeting expenses. All right, this slide breaks down the countywide sales tax measures. So again, about 37% of our revenue comes from sales tax. So in 2001, as many of you are probably aware, voters approved a 1/4-cent sales tax measure for parks. Half of that revenue was dedicated to continuous operations. The other half was dedicated to capital improvement projects. That half, or that 1/8 cent, sunset in 2006, at which time voters approved another 1/4-cent sales tax measure. This one had the same structure as the previous one in 2001, which resulted in the capital improvement half, or that 1/8 cent, expiring in 2011. So since that time, we've been absent really a dedicated capital funding stream. which generates about $7.5 million a year towards park-related projects. So, absent this funding, over the last 14 years, it's really starting to show in a lot of our parks, facilities, especially our neighborhood parks, pool facilities, playground equipment is really in need of some love. All right, let's talk about our service delivery and all the cool things that we do and manage at parks. We have 105 park properties, over 3,200 acres of play space that we manage, over 70 miles of recreation trails that we maintain. And then, like I mentioned before, we have about 750 employees, including 250 full-time employees. We have some very large and diverse facilities. Really, this is a nationally recognized park system in terms of size and scope. There are very few communities the size of what we have here that have so much and offer this, again, diverse range of facilities and programs. So, just to run through those, 3 family centers, 8 swimming pools, 6 of those are outdoor pools, 4 golf courses, 2 indoor ice rinks, which is at one site, 1 zoo, 1 farm park, an equestrian center, botanical gardens and center, an archery complex, a skate park, tennis complex, which is again world class, a dog park, and then a variety of programs for all ages, abilities, and interests. On top of that, a pretty robust trail system. Trails are always top on the list of recreation amenities that community wants. Usually, when communities do surveys, including Springfield, trails usually rise to the top of that list. So, the need for expanded trails is very evident in Fort SGF, and it's really a huge quality of life and quality of place component. We have a great relationship with Ozark Greenways. They do a fantastic job advocating, building, and funding trail development. Once built, a lot of those trails become the responsibility of parks to maintain. And I'd just like to throw this number out there. It costs us approximately $5,000 per mile of linear trail to maintain on an annual basis. Multiply that over 70 miles, it's a $350,000 expense on an annual basis to maintain our trail system. And just also to note, Parks maintains really all the hard surface trails, a lot of soft surface trails like you would see Frisco Highline, also at Fellows Lake with the mountain bike and hiking trails. Those are maintained by Ozark Greenways. All right, let's talk about some of our current projects. This is a big one. I think this, in terms of dollars, is the largest single projects that there's been in parks in the history, over 100-year history. So through American Rescue Plan Act funding, along with local monies, $28.5 million was allocated to overhaul the soccer and ball fields at Cooper Park. Phase one involved converting 8 soccer fields to synthetic turf, as well as other site improvements. This phase is now complete. It was opened earlier this year. It has been very well received. If you have been there, or if you have kids or been to soccer games, it is a very impressive facility. The cost to complete phase one was approximately $11 million. Phase two involves renovating 6 baseball fields and 5 softball fields and converting those into synthetic turf. Construction on phase two began earlier this year and is still in progress and estimated to be completed in November of this year. I could say that as of now, the project's on time to be on schedule to be completed on time, as well as within budget. Phase two, the cost of that project alone is about $17.5 million. So this is a really exciting development. It will provide a premier sports venue for local competition, partnering sports organizations, and have the ability to draw regional and national tournaments. We just recently started booking the baseball and softball complex for the 2026 season in anticipation of opening that. And compared to 2024, when we last booked tournaments, it's my understanding that the number of bookings has already tripled. So we're already starting to see the positive effect that will ripple hopefully through the community in terms of economic impact and help the local economy. So this is a big win for sports tourism. And this slide just shows an overview of the complex. On the far left side, you have the Killian softball complex, which is under construction. Next to that, you have 5 of the 8 soccer fields, which are managed by Lake Country Soccer. Directly to the east, which is kind of grayed out, you have the Cooper Tennis Complex. Next to that, you have Cooper Youth Baseball, which is under construction. And then furthest to the east or to the right, you have the Cooper Lake Country Soccer Fields, which are, again, open and being used today. All right, next project I'd like to speak about is the Silver Springs Park Pavilion renovation. So Greene County, in collaboration with the local neighborhood coalition, was awarded an ARPA-funded project to renovate the pavilion at Silver Springs Park. Improvements to this facility include an amphitheater with seating, restroom upgrades, ADA improvements, as well as landscape and some parking lot enhancements. A ribbon cutting ceremony was held for this facility on June 20th, and the facility is now usable. This project is a huge improvement in Silver Springs Park. The whole park is enhanced due to this project, and if you haven't seen this project and its completion, I highly encourage you to make a visit there. Right. McDaniel Park improvements. McDaniel Park is located at the intersection of Sunset Avenue and National. So in December of 2024, the park board announced a partnership with TrailSpring, which is a local biking advocacy group, to fund a bicycle pump track at McDaniel Park. For those of you who are not familiar with what a pump track is, I kind of describe it as a cross between a paved path and a BMX track. So they're typically made of asphalt construction. They include banked turns, rolling terrain. So users use a pumping motion to traverse the track versus more of a pedaling motion. So they are really becoming commonplace in metropolitan areas. They're extremely prevalent in Northwest Arkansas, which is obviously known now worldwide for its trail systems and bicycling. And what's cool about them is they are really a multi-generational type facility or see use from toddlers on Schneider bikes, which are the bikes without pedals, to old guys like me on mountain bikes traversing them. So I know personally I'm excited for this project to come to fruition. So TrailSpring is funding the construction of the pump track that's estimated at about $500,000. City Council also kicked in funds to construct a new parking lot and entrance to the park. There are also 2 more phases, which are currently unfunded. The second phase would be the construction of a new bathroom and pavilion, because currently there's no actual bathroom facility there. It's chemical toilets that are at that site, as well as constructing a new playground at the north end of the park, which would replace some dated play equipment. So the unfunded part of that project is about $1.5 million. Phase 1 improvements, including the actual pump track itself and the parking lot and entranceway improvements, is expected to be completed by next summer. So we hope to have final design and take that project out to bid during the winter months this year and start construction in the spring. This is another great project that is funded through collaboration and donations. All right, the Dickerson Park Zoo Bear Boardwalk replacement. So this is another much needed project that recently received funding from the city of Springfield through budget carryover funds. So the existing boardwalk at the zoo was built in 1989. It's been closed since 2021 because it fell into disrepair. And it's really a key connection to the zoo because it connects 2 exhibits and provides ADA access. The boardwalk spans approximately 300 feet and will cost about $580,000 to replace. I'm happy to announce construction is underway. The old boardwalk was recently demolished, so construction is underway, and this is anticipated to be completed by the end of this year. Right. On the horizon, a few future priority projects for parks, and this is, I think, one of the last slides I have for you today. Um, so this shows some of our future project initiatives that are still unfunded but considered priority. Of course, as I just mentioned, phase 2 and 3 for the McDaniel Park improvements. We've also been working with the Ozarks Pickleball Club to develop a new site plan for Meadow Park to improve, enhance, expand the pickleball courts at Meadow Park. Pickleball is still a really hot activity and program area, and I don't see that really ending anytime soon. So that facility is definitely in need of some enhancements, including, again, that's a park or an area that is not served by a permanent bathroom facility. So doing that, expanding the courts from 12 to possibly 20, and really the current courts that are there right now are an adaptive reuse of some tennis courts, so they really don't meet specs in terms of the size of the court for drawing certain tournaments and for play. So that's a priority project. Replacing or improving playgrounds, neighborhood parks, expanding the Fieldhouse Sports Center from 4 basketball courts to 8 to, again, attract more tournaments and more visitors to Springfield. And then overall landscape sign improvements to beautify our parks and greenway corridors is of vital importance. So I am optimistic that the new half-cent funding through the city will go towards some of these initiatives. That is still kind of in the works right now. But I am optimistic that we'll receive some funding for some of those needed projects. So that's just a slide that shows the site plan for Meadow Park and the pickleball courts. So I know I moved fast through this presentation. I'm nearly out of breath. I'd like to acknowledge that this was very much an overview of everything we do at the Springfield-Greene County Park Board. If there is a specific area that you'd like to learn more about or more of a focus area, I'd be happy to come back and deliver a more specific presentation or ask one of our talented staff members to come back and provide more information in a certain area. But be happy to answer any questions. Appreciate your time and listening, and thanks for the opportunity to be here today.
What's the lifespan on the synthetic baseball soccer fields?
Great question. You're looking typically at about 12 to 15 years on synthetic turf if it's properly maintained. Of course, that can sometimes depend on use, how it's maintained, but typically you're seeing 12 to 15 years on that. So certainly something.
We won't have ARPA funds in 15 years.
Right. Yes.
Well, are you getting any pushback from dedicated tennis players by the reuse of tennis courts to be converted to pickleball courts?
You do see that in a lot of communities. Here, I've not heard that so much. I mean, we've been very protective of complexes like Cooper Tennis Complex. We do have, tournaments from time to time that are pickleball tournaments, but having a dedicated space for pickleball and separating the use as much as possible is really, from a parks planning perspective, probably the best tactic you could take. I could say the other issue other communities have run into with pickleball courts is building them in residential areas where you get noise complaints from pickleball use. That's why Meadow Park is truly a fantastic place for that type of facility, because it is kind of, isolated and kind of borderline in terms of commercial area and residential area. So we haven't had those complaints there. So.
To kind of follow on to that, a lot of your expansion seems like it's geared towards the economic draw that it brings into the area, which is obviously a huge benefit to the community as a whole. How much does that take into account, or how much do you have to take into account where your expansion is going to go as far as the economic impact that it can bring to the community?
I'd like to see it's balanced, right? I mean, you got to balance your neighborhood park improvements, which serve specific areas, but definitely will enhance the community and quality of life, with those that are sports tourism opportunities that do help out the community, from an economic development standpoint. It's, I think, really important to find that balance. Is probably the best way I can answer that question. We all win when there's tourism and economic development.
Traffic is terrible. But we all, it's all about the tax.
It's all about the tax.
Hotel.